things are getting pretty weird. Things are getting weird. The talking points of being weird. I know, weird, because, look, the Democrats still don't have a message. In case in point, this message here. My goodness. Shout out to Jimmy Dore. This is how propaganda works. You must repeat it over and over. It's really amazing how shallow and stupid it is. It's almost weird in that way. How's it being weird?
Some of what he and his running mate are saying, well, it's just plain weird.
These guys are just weird. That's who they are.
As weird and creepy as J.D. Vance.
Super weird idea from J.D. Vance.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's quite weird. Just plain weird.
Just plain weird.
Just plain weird.
That stuff is weird. They come across weird, and then they start being weird. Yeah, they're weird.
Being a really weird.
He's such a weirdo.
Donald Trump and his weirdo running mate are weird. Deeply and profoundly weird.
They are weird.
These Republicans just being weird. It's just weird. It's really weird.
Republican weirdness goes even deeper.
He said a lot of things that are weird, a weird style that he brings, weird policies. Let's start with the weird thing, because it is a thing.
Just plain weird.
What was weird was talking about Diet Mountain Dew. Who drinks Diet Mountain Dew?
You ever seen the guy laugh? That seems very weird to me that that an adult can go through 6.5 years of being in the public eye. If he has laughed, it's at someone, not with someone. That is weird behavior.
Weird and cultish.
These are weird people on the other side.
It's kind of weird how everyone keeps on saying things are weird. Don't you find that to be weird, Democrat? I mean, this is all what you have, media. I mean, talk about policy, but yet notice it's always the same thing over and over. It's almost like there's a script that's being shared with CNN and MSNBC and ABC and CBS and, of course, the New York Times and everywhere else. It's kind of weird.
Doubled down on his weird ideas.
I think weird is probably generous.
Simply weird. These guys are just plain weird.
Vance as weird? You know, as the campaign said, weird.
It really is just plain weird.
J.D. Vance, plain weird.
I mean, I don't know how else you could read it.
Weird. It is kind of weird.
We're not afraid of weird people.
The other side, they're just weird. Why
Oh, God, Governor J.B. Pritzker. Talk about weird, huh?
are you being so weird?
Vance has done something more extreme, more weird.
No matter what kind of weird stuff they keep saying.
Trump and Vance are just weird, in addition to being dangerous to democracy.
That's the weird part that's the most engaging.
Whom he addressed as my beautiful Christians, which was super weird.
Weird tech bro, J.D. Vance.
He's a weird guy.
J.D. Vance, uneasy and sort of weird.
Frankly, for lack of a better word, that he's weird.
Sarcastic remarks that aren't even funny, and he kind of shows that he can't really deliver a one-liner.
So, Sam, weird is the word here.
Weird is the word. Weird is the watchword. And of course, AOC claims Family First MAGA movement are weird incels, as Kamala campaign takes aim at the white man. All right, so let's talk about, because of course we got to talk about those white dudes for Kamala, which, by the way, I mean, grade A level cuckery. Okay, in a Monday post on X, Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, AOC, claimed that the GOP has an incel platform, adding that it's super weird. Oh, like totally. It's super weird. It's the macro and the micro. Being obsessed with repressing women is goofy. Trying to watch the LGBTQ plus people do all the time is abnormal. Punishing people who don't have biological offspring is creepy. It's an incel platform, dude. It's super weird, and people need to know that. Wow. Thank you, AOC. Without you, boy, oh boy, where would the progressive movement be? What would we have accomplished if we didn't have such a great virtual signal like herself? So AOC's post came in response to one former GOP primary candidate, Vivek Ramaswamy, who said this whole their weird argument from the Democrats is dumb and juvenile. This is a presidential election, not a high school prom queen contest. Well, Vivek, you're wrong there. These presidential elections are the prom queen, okay? It's what our elections have been reduced down to. There's nothing significant about electoral politics. It's abundantly clear that no matter who wins the election, banks, Wall Street executives, hedge fund managers, the top 1% are going to have the final say. It's all participatory. The only difference is, I would say, that in the Republican primary, at least voters actually have a say in who they want to be their nominee. And that's not saying much. As for everything else, it's one big joke. Dare I say it? Prom elections have more standing and integrity than U.S. elections, right? Because, hey, folks, let's have democracy in the chat. How do you feel about elections and your politicians? Type 1 for Kit. These elections are sacred, and our politicians work really hard to represent us. Shame on you. Shame on you for bad talking our political system. You awful man. Type 2. Man, it's all one big joke. It's all one big joke. You don't have a seat at the table. I wonder how many 2s will be in the chat. And no, I'm not rigging my elections. I'm just giving you guys a real clear choice. A real clear choice. I wonder how many 2s will be in the chat. I wonder. Senator Brian Schatz said on Sunday, assigning extra votes to certain people based on the size of their family is being weird. Banning library books is weird. Government being in people's bedroom is weird. Government being in an exam room is weird. Saying weird is not a schoolyard thought. It's an observation. Well, hold on. Yes, Republican lawmakers and Republican sycophants who are part of the establishment talking points have done weird things. But you want who's also done weird things too? Democrats. They too have interfered with elections and also interfered with schooling and interfered with policies that are not popular with voters at the state level, at the federal level, which is pretty freaking weird, by the way. Republican leaders don't enjoy being called weird, creepy, and controlling. They could try not being weird, creepy, and controlling, said none other than the bastion of integrity, the fighter of truth and justice, Hillary Hill Dog Clinton. Because after all, nothing weird about her and her husband's past business dealings. Nothing weird about her, I don't know, having been involved with a lot of, shady underhand businesses. Nothing weird about how her husband Bill was good friends with first name Jeffrey, last name E. Nothing weird about that. And there's nothing weird about her being a Goldwater girl. Okay? There's nothing weird about that. There's nothing weird about how the DNC in 2016 was working with the Clinton campaign to deny Bernie Sanders a nomination. Nothing weird about that. Nothing weird about it. I need all of you to stop asking questions because there was nothing weird about that. Okay? That's. And by the way, Eric who says, I identify as weirdos, sir. And you should be, hey, be proud of who you are. Because there's nothing weird about it. Nothing weird about Democrats. There's nothing weird about it. The X account for the Democratic Party wrote, Donald Trump is old and weird. Adding a clip of Trump speaking at a rally taken out of context. In the portion rally speech reference, Trump was talking about female weightlifting champion who was attempting to break a record only to be outlifted by a biological male. So, of course, Donald Trump is old and weird. Old and weird. Really? So was Biden. The Extreme candidate's vice president candidate, J.D. Vance, has come under fire by Democrats' left-leaning outlets for comments made in recent years with media outlets leaving out the context of his statements. Why I have let the Democratic Party become controlled by people who don't have children, is Vance said in a 2021 speech. Vance explained on Tucker Carlson's show, what I was basically saying is that we're effectively running this country via the Democrats, via our corporate oligarchs, by a bunch of childless cat ladies. Oh, that got under some liberal skin, who are miserable at their own lives and the choices that they've made, and they want to make the rest of the country miserable too. Well, folks, hold on. First of all, Republicans have done the same thing too, and that's pretty weird. I find our whole system to be weird. You know, let's have democracy in the chat. Type 3 for Kit. Our democracy, or as you like to call it, constitutional republic, might have its problems, but it works. Gosh darn it. And it's the best system we have. Type 4. No, it's weird. It's pretty weird how the banks can get away with causing the 2008 economic collapse. It's pretty weird how Wall Street got away from the economic collapse in 2008 and no one was held accountable. It's pretty weird that the hedge fund managers got away with everything and was never held accountable. It's pretty weird how both parties can be bought by lobby groups, AIPAC, the military industrial complex, big oil, big pharma, the healthcare insurance industry. I mean, that's pretty weird. You know, it's pretty weird that donors supersede voters. It's pretty freaking weird that we have a government that says it represents us, but at any and all opportunity, it screws us over. I mean, that's pretty freaking weird, right? And yet we see these same politicians and these same corporate media jagoffs say we have the best system ever. That's pretty weird, don't you think? I find it all to be quite hilarious, really. I wonder how many fours will be in the chat. I wonder. Just like the delicious Wonder Bread. But, you know, it is pretty weird, though, because here's the thing. The talk about Kamala Harris and the Democrats, and, of course, this obsession now of who will be the next VP. You know, hey, corporate media, you know, sometimes the people you have on your show look and sound pretty weird. Like, who decided this was a good idea? You know, wearing hats, looking all cat fancy. Hey, you know what? Let's bring back wearing hats in studios. Why not? You know, they look pretty dapper there. Let's have democracy in the chat. Type 5 for Kit. These are professionals. You only wish you were as good as them. Type 6, man, this is freaking hilarious. I mean, this could be a meme upon itself.
What about Walz? What do you see him bringing, Mark?
He brings, I mean, he's the kind of the dark horse in this deal, and he's everybody's sort of favorite right now because he's come out of nowhere. Nobody really knew him, and everybody loves him. I mean, I do too. He's funny, he's human, and most importantly, he's authentic, which I think is really important for the Democratic, well, for any political party, or ticket. But the power of authenticity, don't underestimate that. And people look at him and go, yeah, he's just a regular guy, and regular guys get me. They get voters. So, I mean, I think he's sneaky good, and he's the sort of thing where everybody's going, geez, who the hell is that guy? He's good.
Yeah, and who's that guy wearing that big old hat on national TV? That's right. Who's wearing that hat? Who's wearing that hat indeed? But I think it's best to end this segment with just how weird overall a lot of these sycophants for the Vote Blue No Matter Who crowd have turned them out to be. Case in point, Dime Store M&M.
You know, and Crystal made this point too, talking about the French election, how it looked like the right was like, you know, they were doing their little end zone dance as they were running towards it, and then they just got tackled on the 2-yard line, fumbled it, and then the other team scored. Right? It looked like the far right was going to win, but they didn't. The center left and the far left in France came together, and they ended up winning. And it kind of is given those sort of vibes right now, isn't it? There's been a lot of elections worldwide that have swung in the direction of the left recently. It's kind of giving those vibes now. They're like, you know, they're too cocky. They're overconfident. You pick J.D. Vance. That was a horrible move. He didn't get much of a bump from things that certainly in any normal time frame would have given him a bump. In any normal world, that would have given him a bump, what he went through. And now the trend is the other way. So it might be the case that for the first time in a long time now, Democrats are the favorite again.
That's so weird what happened to Kyle, don't you think? I remember he used to be a little bit of a firebrand back in the day, but maybe that might have all been one big act or something must have happened. Who knows?
And it will be on the strength of just the anti-Trump coalition. It would mean that the arguments that we were making originally stuck, namely that at the end of the day, people look at Trump and they still just see an extremist. They don't see somebody who gives a fuck about unity. He tried that for 2.5 seconds after he was shot, and then he dropped it. And it's the abortion stuff, the denying the last election stuff. People just look at him and they see extremist. He's genuinely a convicted felon. Are Americans really going to be comfortable voting for a convicted felon?
We do it all the time. We do it all the time. Americans do, and that's pretty freaking weird because all of our politicians are doing criminal stuff, like insider trading. That's pretty weird. It's pretty weird that a lot of our politicians are never once held accountable to the fullest extent of the law. That's pretty weird. It's almost like the game is rigged from the start and favors them. That is pretty freaking weird. You know, it's easy to vilify Trump. And look, I get it. I get what Trump represents to people. But see, it's not my fault that he kept his political organization together. It's not my fault that he was able to get people to turn out to support him. And it's not my fault that the Republican primary numbers were far more higher than the abysmal Democrat numbers. You know, right now we are seeing the waning days of the honeymoon stage because sooner or later, it's all going to be slipping out just how flawed of a candidate Kamala Harris is. And it'll be pretty freaking weird seeing how the Democrats are going to try and hide this. Democrats, you knew about this 4 years ago. I knew about this 4 years ago. My audience knows about this 4 years ago. And deeply in their hearts, even my trolls know that Kamala is a failed, abysmal candidate. She doesn't have what it takes. And even if she does win, what's her administration going to be like? How is she going to be running the show? If she's going to be running the show, what are her policies? I don't know what any of them are. Right now, when I go to her campaign website, she's asking for money. I get text messages and emails and phone calls asking for money. It's pretty weird that all of this is going on. And it's pretty weird for this whole selection process. But then again, we're supposedly a democracy, which is pretty weird because we're a constitutional republic. But in all reality, we're an oligarchy. You're not weirded out by this? Because I know I am.